I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-macabre, it's time for the only news that matters. When Kiss wrapped up their end-of-the-road farewell tour in December 2023, fans expected an explosive celebration of the band's legacy, one that might include appearances from the original members who helped build their legend. However, the absence of founding guitarist Ace Frehley left a noticeable gap. Former Megadeth bassist David Ellefson recently weighed in on the controversy during the David Ellefson show, questioning why Frehley was left out of the final curtain call. His remarks reignited the ongoing debate about Kiss's complicated relationship with its past members. David Ellefson expressed confusion over the decision, pointing out that it would have been fitting for Ace Frehley to join the band for at least one song. Yeah, you know what? Every fan there wanted that as well. Kiss, Gene. Oh, they're the bosses. Yeah. Well, the bosses wanted Ace back. And you didn't respect the bosses. Anyway. He framed... By the way, on Kiss Wednesday, I got a really juicy Gene Simmons Only News That Matters. Oh, you gotta hear that one. I mean, Gene, I think he outdoes himself with the bullshit on tomorrow's news. But anyway, Ellefson expressed confusion over the decision, pointing out that it would have been fitting for Ace Frehley to join a band for at least one song. He framed his comments not as criticism, but as a musician's curiosity about the thought process behind Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley of Kiss. For many fans, every fan really, the final show felt incomplete without the Spaceman, who helped define Kiss's sound and image during their early years. Yeah, but the Spaceman was there, Tommy Thayer. That's when it was called the Spaceman. See, when Ace was in the band, it was called Space Ace. But yeah, Tommy Thayer is the Spaceman. All right, whatever. The Spaceman was there, but not the Space Ace. The bassist's observations reflect a sentiment shared with countless longtime fans that while Kiss's farewell was grand and spectacular, I don't think it was, it lacked the full sense of closure that a reunion of the original lineup could have brought. Yeah. During his show, Ellefson openly wondered why Frehley wasn't invited to join the band for their farewell performance. Said, would it have been appropriate for Ace to come out and play with them one last time? I mean, why not? You know, he questions echo what many fans have been asking since the tour began. Why not give the founding guitarist a chance to share the stage one final time? And now they can't do it anymore. Can't turn back time. What's done is done. But anyway, David Ellefson clarified that from a band member's perspective, he could have somewhat understand Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley of Kiss, their stance. In their mind, he's not part of the band, not part of the act, not part of the show. Still, he emphasizes that the choice not to include him was ultimately one of preference, and that if they truly wanted Ace there, they could have made it happen. Of course they could have. No doubt about it. His remarks highlight the complex balance between preservation and modern polished acts, and honoring the original chemistry that made Kiss iconic. To Ellefson and many others, the farewell show was an opportunity to bridge those eras. An opportunity that was sadly missed. All right, there you go. Yeah. You know, I did an Only News That Matters before where I said, you know, the final shows at Madison Square Garden were not sold out. They were too sold out. And you know what? I didn't really do my research on that. The reason why I said it, and it's logical I would say this, is because I know two different people that don't know each other that did not have tickets to see Kiss on the farewell show, and they went anyway, and they went to the box office, and they actually bought tickets night of the show. So I'm thinking it wasn't sold out. All right, I guess it did sell out night of the show, you know, where they sold out Madison Square Garden 4 times in '96 with Ace Frehley lead guitar and Peter Criss on the drums. But yeah, like I was saying, tomorrow there's going to be this news report that, you know, does connect with this story a little bit. With the whole, you know, Ellefson saying they didn't ask him. But, you know, let's save that for tomorrow. All I know is that Dave Ellefson, you know, he's being diplomatic and shit. And I'm not, you know. Fuck them. You know, Gene and Paul fucked up. They fucked up. They should have put Ace and Peter out there. Both of them. Not just Ace. Peter Criss as well. You want to do a proper farewell to say goodbye to everybody? Bring out Ace and Peter. And kick out those goddamn scrub imposters for the encores, okay? Make them vanish and get Ace and Peter up there in makeup or without makeup. I don't give a rat's ass. Just get them up there. Oh, wait, you can't do that anymore. That's right. That opportunity is sailed, you know? And, you know, Doc McGee came out and said, oh, we asked Ace Frehley to be part of the Vegas thing that's going to happen very soon. And you know, he said no. Yeah, why did he say no? Why did he say no? That they won't bring up, and I bring that up tomorrow as well. Why did they say no? It's so easy to see why they said no. But if Doc McGee or Gene Simmons was to say the truth about, all right, Ace and Peter aren't going to be here because of us, because we're not going to give them what they want, and what they want is too much, and we don't give a fuck about the bosses, and I don't care how much the bosses want Ace and Peter there. We're not paying that price. We're keeping the money for ourselves. Right, Paul? Yes, Gene. You are my bitch. Of course. That's the whole deal of this whole thing. It's disgusting. You know, man, they're getting up there. Look, we already lost Ace. The youngest member of the original 4 was the first to go. I'm going to be heartbroken when Gene or Paul, man, as much as I goof on both of them, it's going to break my heart when they die. Yeah, as humans, they ain't, you know, a glowing example. But, you know, and Peter Criss is going to devastate. They're all going to devastate me. You know, honestly, Ace is my favorite, but I don't see how Gene, Paul, and Peter wouldn't hit me just as hard. Because I love that original Kiss, man. The original 4. You know, as far as, like, you know, the goodbye. And, you know, people are complaining why Ace and Peter weren't there at the last show. But, man, I really, I mean, it would have been nice. A nice closure, whatever. Put a little cap on it. But nah, man, the way I look at it is, man, Madison Square Garden, 1986. I was there 3 out of the 4 shows. That was magic. Yes, I saw the show in Miami and it was great, but the magic wasn't there. There was something in the air at Madison Square Garden in 1996. Seriously, one of the most insane shows. I never went to a concert that while walking out of a concert, the whole crowd is cheering along while walking out of Madison Square Garden. That's never happened to me before at any show. It happened there. And what was funny, it happened all 3 nights as we were leaving. Anyway, what is the only news that matters if I don't bring up how lame it is why David Ellefson got fired from Megadeth? I always have to bring this up because I don't think it's cool. He got fired just for tossing egg salad. You know what I mean? He got fired for the tartar sauce rainbow. You know? He was buffing the Vampire Slayer and he got fucking fired for that. You know? It's not cool. I don't agree with getting fired for strangling the Cyclops. You know what I mean? It's not cool, man. You know? He was discovering his own potential, okay? You know, I don't get it, you know? Much ado about nothing, you know? So what if he was tipping off the inspector? Or consulting Dr. Jackoff? You know? If he was cooking cucumbers, he was jerking the gherkin, he was doing the beef stroking off, he shouldn't be fired for that. You know what I mean? Just because he was fishing with dynamite, you know? Or, you know, liquidating the inventory or wrestling the eel. You know, you don't fire a guy for that, man. You know, pulling the Pope, you're gonna fire a guy for pulling the Pope. Seriously, I don't agree with getting fired for making magic with leftovers. I don't get it. You know, all he was doing was celebrating Palm Sunday, and he got fired for that? He got fired for badgering the witness? For playing pocket pinball? For wanking? For burping the worm? You know? For smoosh smoosh? You know? A handy shandy? You got fired for squirt hockey? I don't agree with that at all. I think the guy should remain at work after oozing his noodle. You know what I mean? After he was auditioning the hand puppet, he should have went right back to work. Because all he was doing was debugging the hard drive. You know, he was windsurfing on Mount Baldy. Yeah, he was tugging the slug and he got fired for that? I don't agree with that, man. Let the guy wax his carrot in peace. You know, he was just shucking corn. You know, he was riding the mayonnaise surf. He was battling the purple-headed yogurt slinger. And he got fired for that? For blowing his own horn? For beating his meat? For shaking hands with Dr. Winky? Seriously, he was just poaching eggs, man. Ah, the 5 fingers shuffle. All because he spanked his monkey. He's out of Megadeth. Not cool, man. But you know what is cool? That you all watched all the way till now. The only news that matters, and I appreciate it. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Ring that little notification bell and like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So, stay frosty. Listen to Billy Squire the Stroke and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.